Greetings, ladies and gents. It is I, Scythe Jackal, and welcome to another tier list video. As you can see, I've got the proportions put up differently. I'm holding my phone sideways today so I can be doing this tier list. Ignore all the advertisements up there. Advertisements are annoying. So, I was going to initially rank every single video game Nintendo has ever released from their beginnings up until 2024. However, I haven't found a tier list like that. I've only been able to find up to 2019. So I decided, let's just rank every single Nintendo console by their games. This first console we're gonna start with is the Super Nintendo. I would do the NES, but the NES's library is humongous, and most of the games are either mediocre or just straight up terrible. So I've decided that we're going to be doing the SNES first. We may do the NES at some point in the future. There are some good games. But, okay, so to clarify a few things, I haven't played most of these games. I really only played the big ones, the big Nintendo ones. And I didn't grow up in the 90s. And I just want to get that out of the way. So, let's get into it. Starting off with Super Mario RPG. Haven't played. I thought about getting the remake at one point, but I don't think I'm going to. Because I just finished Thousand Year Door. That'll get its own video at some point. So I have to say I haven't played it. The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past is a A or B. I'm going to put it in B for now. A Link to the Past is a really fun 2D Zelda game. It has a really good soundtrack and some really fun gameplay and a really good open world. I really hate the boss fights in this game. Literally all of them suck, with the exception of the Helmassar King and Ganon. But even then, Ganon's fight is just okay. The Helmassar King is a great fight. The dungeons themselves aren't terrible. They're kind of good. It was the first game that introduced the Master Sword. I just don't like it as much as the other Zelda games, the 3D ones per se. Okay. Super Mario World. That's getting an S tier. That is a fantastic 2D platformer. Memorable soundtrack, really memorable level design, great power-ups. The cape is one of the best power-ups they've ever introduced. It introduced Yoshi. It's got some really fun boss fights. It's just overall a really fun game. The only thing I would deduct points from would probably be that thing in World 4 where you have to find the secret exit or you can't progress. But that's not really bad. That's just kind of like unexpected, I would say. Aside from that, though, it's a pretty sweet game. It's not my favorite Super Mario, but it's great. Killer Instinct, Rare's famous fighting game, is getting an A tier. This is a game I've been playing recently and on NSO, and I love it. I love all of the characters. They all feel so unique. I love the animations, the soundtrack, the combo system, the ultra combos, the fatalities. This game is awesome. This game is kind of really violent for a T-rated game, but I know that the ESRB did it to M rating, so that makes sense. But yeah, it's an awesome fighting game. I definitely recommend it. It's hard, but it's really fun. And I'm really hoping that they bring the other Killer Instinct games to Nintendo consoles or to other consoles. I'm hoping. But knowing Microsoft, it might at some point. Donkey Kong Country 2 is getting an S tier. It's better than Mario World. You know what? Mario World's getting back to A tier because it's not my favorite or one of my favorite 2D Marios. But Donkey Kong Country 2 is everything a sequel should be. It is fast. It improves on everything that Country 1 did great. Both of its playable characters are fun to play as. It has great boss fights, phenomenal music, great level design, and just a really good length. I recently replayed this game on Nintendo Switch Online because I played it back in, I think it was 2021 or 2. But I played it and I thought, yeah, it was good. But playing this again reminds me how awesome it was. So I love Diddy Kong, I love Dixie Kong. Boss fights again are really fun, like the Sword and Captain K. Rool. These are definitely... We're going to get to the other ones in a bit. but this is probably the best of the trilogy. It's not, and it's close, I'll say that. Speaking of Donkey Kong Country, that's going to go in S tier as well, right under DKC2. The game's FX silicone graphics were amazing for the time. The game has a great soundtrack, solid level design, and some pretty terrible boss fights. Not terrible, but not good. Except for the final boss against King K. Rool. That's a pretty good boss fight. But it's not about that. The soundtrack, the gameplay, the feel of it, it's just, oh, it's amazing. And I've played through it twice. And lastly, Donkey Kong Country 3. This may surprise you, because people consider it the black sheep of the trilogy, but I think it's just as good, if not better, than Donkey Kong Country 1. This game is so weird and unique compared to the other games because you play as Dixie Kong and Kiddy Kong. The boss fights in this game are weird. You fight a giant barrel that burps. You fight a giant spider. You fight an evil snowman. You fight an evil robot, and then you fight K. Rool as a mad scientist. The levels are great. The gameplay is really fun. They're well designed. Both of the characters are really fun to play as. I prefer Dixie just because she has a hair helicopter, but Kitty's still fun to play as. So yeah, the entire trilogy is getting S tier just because of how phenomenal all of them are. Speaking of phenomenal, Super Metroid. I would say it's S tier above Country 1. Super Metroid is a masterpiece. Sorry. Super Metroid is a masterpiece. It was the first Metroid game I had ever played and the first one I'd ever beat. It has great boss fights, a great soundtrack, phenomenal atmosphere. It has really good progression, a great ending. You already know everything about Super Metroid. It's considered to be one of the best games ever. So I think that's all I really have to say. Okay, next up is the original Star Fox. I give it a C tier. It's an alright game. It's got some nice FX, some good soundtrack, some good music. But it's not my favorite Star Fox game. I quite liked Star Fox 64. And I would have liked Star Fox Adventures or Assault, but yeah, those GameCube games can't be run on Delta emulator. Yet. Who knows? Super Mario Kart. Okay, this one's going to shock some people because I know a lot of you guys have a lot of nostalgia for this game. And I don't blame you, but I'm going to give it a D tier. This game hasn't held up at all. This game's controls are weird. The tracks are awful. Literally all of the tracks in this game are terrible, with the exception of Rainbow Road. But that track is only saved by its music. The music in this game is okay. Not to mention how the game's rubber banding is huge, and the AI even cheats because they all have items they can use anytime. Your racer does not, and it overall just doesn't hold up at all. Maybe if you're playing with friends, like just laughing and having a bunch of fun, it's fine, but there's no reason to go back to this game unless it's nostalgia, because even Mario Kart 64 was way better than this game. And that's coming from somebody who didn't grow up with the N64. Kirby Superstar. Something! Ooh. I love Kirby. Kirby Superstar gets an S tier because it has Superstar in it. Kirby Superstar is one of the best Kirby games of all time. Arguably, it's in the top 3. It has a great soundtrack, really fun gameplay. It has so many games in it at once, and it's just overall a heavily playable game. It's a game I definitely recommend. Gourmet Race is fun. Meta Knight's Revenge is fun. The final boss is fun. I recommend it. It's definitely in the top 3 Kirby games, which we'll talk about the other ones at some point. But, yeah. Pilot Wings. That gets a C tier. It's a pretty fun game. Nothing else. Final Fantasy 3 didn't play. It was actually Final Fantasy 6, but they changed it to 3 in the West for some reason. But But I do love Final Fantasy VII. So maybe I'll play this on Delta emulator at some point. I could do that actually. Chrono Trigger, also haven't played. I plan to play this game on Delta emulator. Super Ghouls and Ghosts, C tier. I only got to like level 3 back when I played it in 2019 because it was so hard and I just don't think I could ever beat it. But it's challenging. It's a good game for what it is. Demon's Crest. This is a game I started, but I couldn't get past the first boss, so I'll put it in. Haven't played. Earthbound. So I haven't played Earthbound, but I watched my older brother play it a while back, and it was crazy. So I know this seems a bit unfair because I didn't actually play the game, but I watched my older brother play it, and I thought about maybe playing it at some point, but this game is weird. This game's soundtrack is great. The game looks great. The atmosphere is very well done, along with the music. The story is pretty dark. Like, have you seen the final boss? It's creepy. Super creepy. But Earthbound is an awesome game and one I absolutely recommend. Mortal Kombat 2, never played that. F-Zero. I'll give F-Zero a C tier just because I played like one race of it and it was fun, but I'm not good at any SNES racers. Alright, we don't have many left. Street Fighter 2. I'm not a Street Fighter guy, but this is a pretty fun game. Like, even if you're really bad at Street Fighter, these games are still very fun to play. Okay. Oh, Castlevania 4. Now we're talking. This is a game I've actually played. Super Castlevania 4 is an S tier above Kirby Superstar. Castlevania 4 is one of the best games in the series. It has something that none of the other games have, which is hitting with the whip in all directions. You can hit it while jumping, forward, up, down, to the sides, corners. You can even do the whip spin. This game controls perfectly. That's what makes this game higher above other Castlevania games, is the control, because I don't think any other Castlevania game has whip controls like this. The soundtrack is great. The boss fights are fun. It feels so satisfying to hit enemies with the whip. It's a very challenging but very fair game. And it's definitely, I think, the first Castlevania game I would recommend to people who want to get into the series, aside from Aria of Sorrow or Symphony of the Night. Okay, what's next? Contra 3D Alien Wars, never played. Northern Jim, never played. Bomberman, I haven't played a lot of these. Okay, but Yoshi's Island. Ooh, have I got something to say about this here video game? It's a C tier. It's a pretty fun game. I used to hate it, but my hatred of the game has kind of gone down since I played it again recently. I'll have to play it from beginning to end, though, to see if I like it. I think I will. I think I'll like it more if I play it to the end. Okay, and the last few games we have are Mega Man X. Didn't get far in that. Alright, the last two games we're going to rank are Punch-Out! Oh, Super Punch-Out! Super Punch-Out! Is getting a B tier. It's a really fun game. It's just not as good or memorable as the other two. And the final game we're going to rank is... Where is it? Here it is. Super Mario 3 All-Stars. This is a great compilation. And it gets A tier. Yes, I put it above Mario World. I'm sorry. But that's basically my tier list of Super Nintendo games. I hope you all enjoyed, and thank you for watching. Comment down below what Nintendo console you want me to rank next, and I'll do that. But maybe I should play more SNES games first, because, yeah, I'm really not experienced. Thank you all for watching. Scythe Jackal, out.